Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. In this video, as part of our series on trading volatility and how to trade volatility, we will look at two ETFs that you can use to short the VIX, short volatility, SVXY and SVIX, and we will look at how these two ETFs are defined, how they're used to short the VIX, how they're rebalanced, and then at the end of the video we'll give you our recommendation as to what we think is the best ETF to use to short the VIX. Again, this is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. But again, we'll look at the composition, the definition of SVXY, SVIX. We'll look at their risk to reward profiles, and then we'll make our decision as to which one we're going to use as the best ETF to use to short the VIX. So stick around for the end and hear what we think, and then you can let us know your ideas. But a lot of opportunities with trading volatility, and here are a couple ways that you can make money shorting the VIX trading volatility. So we hope this all helps. Okay, let's look at the profile for SVIX, the -1x short VIX Futures ETF in the ETF Database. I'll put the direct link to this profile in the description box below. We can see this is a relatively new ETF to short the VIX. It came out in March 28 of 2022, so it's relatively new, so it doesn't have complete information. We can see it's a leveraged 1x. It's an inverse ETF, so it's shorting the VIX using the VIX futures. We can see it's a tactical volatility, short-term S&P 500, single asset. You see its basic trading day, its range. It's again relatively new, so it doesn't have a year's worth of data. We can see other comparisons here, and we'll see this with some of the other volatility ETFs as well. And it's saying the largest is SVXY, this WEIX. I don't think I could find that in FinViz, etc. So this is the profile again for SVIX in the ETF database. And we'll also look at other information about SVIX to do our due diligence on SVIX, the -1x short VIX Futures ETF. Okay, let's look at the profile for SVIX, the -1x short VIX Futures ETF in FinViz. I'll put a direct link to this profile in FinViz in the description box below. We can see SVIX has not been around very long, so it's only March of 2022, so we don't have a lot of history, don't have a lot of chart history to look at, and a lot of the metrics are not calculatable because it is so new. It does show that it is optionable and shortable. We have a range, 52-week range so far, of about $9 to $15 or so. And then we can see the definition. It measures the daily inverse performance of a portfolio of first and second month VIX futures contracts. So that's important to know what this is based on. It's rolled each day, so it's recalculated each day to contain a consistent time of maturity. And it's calculated daily at 4 p.m. At a value from the average price of the futures contracts between 3:45 and 4 p.m. So again, it's recalculated, and then you can have a change in value, a gap up, gap down at 4 p.m. when it is recalculated on a daily basis. And again, this is based on first and second month VIX futures contracts. So again, this is the profile for SVIX in FinViz, and we hope that helps. Okay, let's look at the profile for SVIX, the -1x short VIX Futures ETF in Seeking Alpha. I will put the direct link to this profile in Seeking Alpha in the description box below. We can see because SVIX is such a new ETF. It only came out in March 2022. It doesn't have any grades. We can see its profile here in Seeking Alpha. Seeks daily investment results correspond to the short VIX Futures index for a single day. It's inverse, again, this is an inverse ETF on the VIX, so you're shorting the ETF. Here it's important, it's looking at the first and second month VIX futures contract, so that's important to understand what this ETF is based on. And it's rolled each day to maintain a consistent time of maturity and calculated daily at 4 p.m. So it's recalculated each day at 4 p.m. So one can expect some, changes, some gap up, gaps downs at that time, and at a value calculated from the average price between 345 and 4. So again, it's recalculated. You can have some gaps at 4 p.m. based on the average price in the last 15 minutes of trading. So we see it's got here, they're saying the expense ratio is 1.47. See, it really hasn't been around long enough to have much returns. Average volume 1.7 million. The volume right now is 3 million, so it was higher on this date. This is on June 12th. Then we see some moving averages. So again, not a lot of data yet because SVIX is such a new ETF. Okay, let's look at the ETF profile for SVXY, the ProShares Short VIX Short-Term Futures ETF in the ETF Database. I'll put a direct link to this profile in the ETF Database in the description box below. We can see the issuers, ProShares, its commodity pool. We see the expense ratio here is 1.38. It's been around for a long time, October 3rd, 2011. We can expand the definition. We see it shows inverse exposure to the index comprised of VIX futures. They explain strong negative correlation. Again, it's an inverse ETF, so you're betting short on the VIX. So it's leveraged, so it can be more volatile. It's not over. Okay, so they're talking about it's dependent on the slope of the futures curve. So again, it's important to understand these volatility or any of these leveraged ETFs is exactly how they work. What's the pros and cons? So we can see this when it's in steep, when the VIX futures in steep contango, as it has most often been historically, is a compelling strategy to exploit structural inefficiencies. When the VIX is in backwardation, though, it's vulnerable to significant return erosion. So again, it's important to know, when is this beneficial, which is when the VIX slope of the VIX is in contango versus backwardation. So they're also talking about the daily reset feature, so it can be impacted by a compounding of returns. It resets daily. And again, they explain that in more detail, so it's important to understand this. And if you don't feel comfortable with your understanding of it, they're saying it's best to steer clear. So they're saying the exposure offered is generally similar to XIB, but that I couldn't find that one in FinViz anymore, so I don't know that that's applicable. We see it's a leverage volatility. It's a minus 0.5 leverage. Tactical, again, volatility, single asset. We see some of the ranges, and we'll look at this in more detail when we look at the risk-reward profiles. And again, it's similar to UVXY, which is the leveraged ETF, similar to SVXY, which is the long on the VIX. And then we can see its comparison to some of the other ETFs. So we hope that helps. Okay, let's look at the profile for SVXY, the ProShares Short VIX Short-Term Futures ETF in FinViz. I will leave the direct link to this profile in FinViz in the description box below. We can see the chart for SVXY. We can see a pivot point around this 51 area. We see, again, this is a short on the VIX. If we look at some of the metrics, we can see it is optionable and shortable. We can see a 52-week range of 45 to 64. See any news relative to these ETFs, and then we can see the definition as it seeks to offer exposure to market volatility through publicly traded futures markets and to design to measure the implied volatility over 30 days in the future. So again, it's based on 30 days in the future of futures contracts. So we hope that helps. If we zoom out on the chart for SVXY and FinViz to a weekly chart, we can kind of see a further range down from 24 up to a recent peak somewhere around 64.45. We see it recently bottomed at about 45.24. Again, this is on June 12th of 2022. So we can see that's the most recent bottom is 45.24, so that should correspond to the most recent spike or the most recent peak in the VIX. We can see it's been going up, which again, it's an inverse volatility index on the VIX. So if SVXY is going up, that means the VIX is going down. It recently spiked down, which meant the VIX spiked up a little bit. So if we zoom out one more to the monthly chart, again, this must have been a rebalancing, a reverse split, which these ETFs periodically do. So I wouldn't put much stake into that, and I would stick with the range on the weekly chart. So prior to that 64 area, we can see a top in the SVXY somewhere in the 69 area, and that is prior to or that's the high, pandemic high on SVXY, which would be the spike in the VIX due to the pandemic. So, and then the plummet, which is the V bottom for the VIX. So we hope that all helps. Okay, let's look at the profile for SVXY, the ProShares Short VIX Short-Term Futures ETF and Seeking Alpha. I will put the direct link to this profile for SVXY in Seeking Alpha in the description box below. We can see news here as of the, this is old news, so, but it does, I guess, post some news here. This is interesting. In Seeking Alpha, they've got some grades on this ETF. We've got some ratings, hold, but the momentum rating here is a B, but we can see it's got F's in expenses and risk and a D plus in asset flows. So it's expensive and risky, but it has good momentum. We see the definition here for SVXY, exchange traded fund and ETF, ProShares, etc. Invest through derivatives and stocks. Employs a short strategy. Again, this is short on the VIX. It uses derivatives such as futures, invests in volatile stocks of large cap companies, seeks to track minus 5x the daily performance of the S&P 500 VIX short-term futures index. So again, that is what the SVXY is based on, is in tracking the performance of the VIX short-term futures index. And again, it's been around a long time, since October 3 of 2011. So we see the fund type here. The expense ratio is 1.38. We can see the total returns over a period of time. We see cash and equivalents, 49%, 50%. So it's futures on the VIX, 50%. We see its momentum relative to the S&P, average volume 5 million, and on this date it had 4.4 million. So we can also see its performance compared to some of the other ETFs. Again, the UVXY is the long version of this. And again, assets, technicals. So I hope this all helps. Okay, let's compare the SVXY ProShares Short VIX Short-Term Futures ETF to the SVIX the minus 1x short VIX Futures ETF using the ETF Comparison Tool. And you can find a link to this ETF Comparison Tool on our homepage in the links section under Trading Tools. Our homepage is beachbumtrading.com. Bum without the U. Again, in the links under Trading Tools, you can find a link to this ETF Comparison Tool. If we enter SVXY on one ETF versus SVIX, and we can look at a comparison directly between those two using this ETF Comparison Tool. So we can see expense ratio wise, SVXY has a slightly lower expense ratio, 1.38 to 1.47. Again, this is not something you typically hold for a very long time, so it's the expenses should not be significant. We see SVXY has a lot more assets, has a much higher volume. Again, the expense ratio, the spread is significantly less in a percentage basis. We can see the tracking difference. Again, SVIX has not been around for very long, only since March of 2022, so it doesn't really have a history that's trackable. Long-term, short-term capital gains rate the same for SVXY, but long-term is a little lower and significantly higher for SVIX. And then we can see the performance graph. So in the green is SVXY versus SVIX. So we can see in general they track pretty closely together, but SVXY is performing better than SVIX. SVIX has had a more significant drawdown and really hasn't achieved very much in terms of positive returns since its inception. So we see SVXY for the month was 10%. This is saying SVIX has 20%, but it's showing negative 20. So again, I think this is a useful tool to be able to compare ETFs directly. We can see holdings. It's showing this as US dollar for SVXY and US dollar and some government funds and some futures for SVIX. So again, I thought this was a helpful comparison tool. Thank you for from one of our BeachBum traders, Douglas PC, for turning us on to this ETF comparison tool. I can see this will be a very useful tool for comparing ETFs head-to-head against each other. So again, and you can find a link to this ETF comparison tool in the link section on our home page under Trading Tools, and our home page again is beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. So we hope that all helps. Okay, let's look at the risk-reward profiles and compare them for both SVIX and SVXY. And please see our previous video on how to compare ETFs that talks about how we prepare and use this spreadsheet or a spreadsheet like this to compare the risk-reward profiles of various ETFs. So here you can see we have these two ETFs that are both short or down direction on the VIX. And again, we'll compare them. We've got their 52-week high and lows. We've got their bottom to top, which is the lowest to highest point shown in the FinViz monthly chart or weekly chart, whichever is appropriate. And then we've got the most recent or nearest support and resistance lines. And then we just take divide the risk, which would be the low point or the support line, and divide the reward, which is the high from the risk. So we get a ratio of what is our reward relative to our risk. So we can see when we compare SVIX with SVXY, SVIX outperforms. It has a risk-reward RR rate of 1.63 versus 1.42 for SVXY on the latest 52-week basis, but bottom to top over the long term, SVXY has outperformed at 2.89 RR versus 1.63 for SVIX. And then again, if we go back to the most recent support and resistance points, we see SVIX performs a little better than SVXY at 1.63 for SVIX versus 1.32 for SVXY. So again, that gives us an idea of the various time frames and the risk-reward profiles for these two ETFs, and gives us, if we're going to trade them short-term, we can look at the short-term most recent risk-reward. If we want to hold them very long-term, we can look at bottom to top, or for a year, we can look at the 52-week high and low. So again, hopefully this helps you see the risk rewards and compare the risk reward profiles for SVIX versus SVXY. And now we'll talk about how we may wish to choose one of those to short the VIX. If you would like access to this Google Sheet comparison, ETF comparison Google Sheet spreadsheet, and or some of our other ETF comparison Google Sheet spreadsheets, we plan to provide that as an additional benefit to our Patreon members. So again, if you are a Patreon member, you will be granted access to our various ETF comparison worksheets, as well as other tools and other benefits for our Patreon members. You can find a link to our BeachBum Trading Patreon account in the description box below, and we will show you in a moment how you can gain access to these types of spreadsheets and other trading tools as a member of our Patreon, as well as supporting us in producing frequent quality content and helping support all of our efforts to help you succeed in your trading, all of which we much appreciate. BeachBum Trading also now has a site on Patreon. If you are willing and able to help support our efforts to produce all the content and help you achieve the financial freedom you want, deserve, to be able to live the BeachBum lifestyle or any other kind of lifestyle you would like, and you're willing and able to help support our efforts in these regards, we hope you'll choose to visit our Patreon page. You can get access to our new BeachBum Trading Community Discord server, which is currently under construction, but you will get access to the Discord server by supporting us through Patreon. Again, this is all currently under construction, but you can see we just have the default levels, membership levels, but again, each level allows support, allows access to our Discord. We're also posting our trade positions initially in our Discord, and again, we greatly appreciate any support that you're willing and able to provide. So thank you for your consideration. Okay, so given all of this information about SVXY and SVIX, their definition, their composition, their rebalancing strategy, etc., as well as their risk-reward profiles, which one should we choose as the best ETF to short the VIX? Well, as we saw, SVIX is a relatively new ETF that could be used to short the VIX, and although its risk-reward profile is a little bit more attractive in the very short term and in the 52-week range, given that SVXY has been around for a long time, it has a good history of performance, and has a better risk-reward long-term profile. We're a little more comfortable, again, given the history, the lack of history with SVIX, and the fact that we haven't really seen good swings, good cycles over a period of time with SVIX. For now, we're going to stick with SVXY. This is June of 2022. And we'll revisit this and do this type of comparison again in the future to check to see if the performance and the history of SVIX warrants a change in our selection. But again, it's our opinion, and again, this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. But based on all of our due diligence and analysis on SVXY and SVIX at this point in time, we're going to stick with using SVXY as, in our opinion, the best ETF to use to short the VIX. So that will be the one that we will use to take opportunities when the VIX spikes. We go long SVXY, ride ride the retracement, the reversion of the mean of the VIX to make money shorting the VIX. So please let us know your thoughts. Which do you prefer to use to short the VIX, SVXY or SVIX? So please let us know in the comments below. Please let us know what you thought of all this information. Was it helpful to you? Do you use an ETF to short the VIX? Why or why not? Please again put it in the comments, join us in our Discord, and let's discuss it. We have an ETFs channel in the Discord that we can discuss this. We also have a Facebook group where we can talk about this, and you can always contact us via our various social media channels, which you will see in a moment as well. So again, let us know what you thought of all this. Which ETF would you use to short the VIX, and was this information helpful to you? Good luck, and have a great trading day. Bye. We also cordially want to invite you to our new BeachBum Trading Community Discord server, where we can have discussions on all topics related to trading, success in trading, investing, etc. You can see alerts when we make trades, changes to our watch lists, etc. So again, please join us in the new BeachBum Trading Community Discord server. You should be able to find a link in the description box below. You can also find a link in the social media category on our webpage, beachbumtrading.com, without the bum without the U, and also in the link section on the About page of our YouTube channel, etc. So again, we look forward to seeing you in the BeachBum Trading Community Discord server soon. Wave and say hello. The content of this video was produced by BeachBum Trading. We hope you will choose to also join us in the BeachBum Trading community and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit us at our homepage at beachbumtrading.com, the bum without the U. Similarly on Twitter, BeachBum Trading, bum without the U. On Facebook and in our BeachBum Trading Facebook group. Please follow us on Pinterest and on Instagram. All of the links to our social media sites will be included in the description box below, and we hope you will choose to subscribe to our BeachBum Trading YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Thank you. Thank you again for watching our video. We hope that you liked it. If so, please smash the like button, give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to our BeachBum Trading YouTube channel. Please share this video with your fellow traders and friends. And please give us your feedback and any recommendations for improvement in the comments section below. And let us know what else we can do to help you in your trading career. Thank you again. Good luck and have a great trading day. If you like this video, we hope you will choose to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the box in the upper left hand corner. You can watch another video like this by clicking on the box in the lower right hand corner, and we have a whole playlist of videos like this that you can access via the box in the upper right hand corner. Our latest video is available in the box in the lower left hand corner. We hope you like this and have a great day.